With the Virginia Memorial completed, only the formal dedication remained. The day selected for this long-awaited event was Friday, June 8, 1917. It was only appropriate to dedicate the memorial on June 8th as the 27th Annual Confederate Veterans Reunion, held June 4th through June 7th in Washington, D.C., was concluding. It was anticipated that many of the attendees of the reunion would visit Gettysburg and take part in the significant event. For this occasion, special trains were provided for Confederate veterans to journey to Gettysburg. At Gettysburg, preparations for the dedication ceremonies were ongoing. Charles Cappas, who had erected the Virginia Memorial, was now tasked with the erection of the platform and the draping of the pedestal and statues with two large American flags. The residents of Gettysburg prepared for the influx of thousands of visitors. Finally, nearly 9 years after Governor Swanson first recommended a Virginia monument at Gettysburg, and 54 years since determined Virginian troops of Pickett's division launched their attack on Cemetery Ridge, their tribute was fulfilled. The plans for the dedication of the Virginia Memorial were nearly complete. Those that were an important part of the planning for the memorial, or guests of honor, would receive a private invitation to view the ceremony from the speaker stand. Several dignitaries would provide addresses, with the monument being unveiled by Miss Ann Carter Lee, the daughter of Robert E. Lee, Jr., and the granddaughter of Robert E. Lee. The ceremonies were scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. The first trains to arrive in Gettysburg were those of the Confederate veterans that had attended the reunion in Washington, D.C. The Municipal Band of Richmond arrived and led an escort of Confederate veterans all the way to the monument. A battalion of the 4th United States Infantry, along with their band, would arrive in town at 10 a.m. and wait nearly 3 hours for the arrival of Virginia Governor Stuart. Stuart, with his party, was accompanied by 350 cadets from the Virginia Military Institute, acting as his escort of honor. At 1 p.m., the procession began its march to the memorial. Upon arrival, the group would be met by hundreds of Civil War veterans from both the North and the South. It was estimated that nearly 1,000 Confederate veterans were present for the dedication. Governor Stuart and his entourage would then assume their position on the speaker's stand. Governor Stuart would open the ceremony in asking Dr. James Power Smith, formerly captain and aide-de-camp of General Thomas J. Jackson, to give the invocation. Smith would note, "We have here built a monument to the memory of an army of patriot soldiers and their great captain, who here fought a great battle, bravely, consciously, looking to God for help, and yet went back with banner furled, with brows clear and uplifted, believing that God was on this field." Smith would continue, "In years and ages to come, our sons and all men of goodwill will come from all sections and from all lands to remember them and their unblemished fame. And one consistent will do them honor." Following the invocation and music, Miss Ann Carter Lee stepped to the monument and pulled the cords, unveiling the monument. With the applause of the crowd and music filling the air, volley after volley from the infantry composed the salute. Following the unveiling, Governor Stewart will present his dedication address, commenting, "With the fine perception and real genius of the true artist, the sculptor, chosen by the Commonwealth to express visibly and permanently the thought of the people, has placed about the base of this memorial the express presentments of the type of men who followed Lee. Here we see represented all arms of the service and all the different classes essentially typical of Southern life and manhood, which combined to make the Army of Northern Virginia for so long a time invincible. The life, the ideals, and the principles of these men as they stand cannot be exalted by human tongue or human hand, and yet we surmount this noble group by the inspiring figure of the one man who, by the majesty of his character, the perfection of his manhood, and the glory of his genius, represents and embodies all that Virginia and her sister Southern states can impart to the country and to the world as a supreme example of their convictions and principles." Following Governor Stewart's address, William M. Ingram, Assistant Secretary of War, would accept on behalf of the War Department the memorial. He would proclaim, "Your Excellency, Confederate veterans, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be present on this occasion and to form a most pleasant duty in behalf of the War Department. This beautiful memorial was placed on this historic ground by the state of Virginia in honor of those who sacrificed their lives in behalf of the ideals for which they fought. We gather around this impressive monument with a reverence due to an occasion of this kind in order that the memory of those who represented the state of Virginia in the great battle of the Civil War shall be remembered." Ingram would close by saying, "It goes without saying that the War Department is glad to add this beautiful statue to the number already under its care. And as long as granite and bronze endure, it shall stand as a great and loving tribute to those brave men who fought and died for their state and for a cause that they sincerely believed was just and right." Reverend Robert A. Gibson would provide the benediction closing the dedication program. Visitors will mingle and admire the first Confederate State Memorial erected at Gettysburg, but for the Virginia Gettysburg Memorial Commission, after nearly 9 years, the task they were assigned to do was complete. Of their original group, they had lost Senator John Warwick Daniel in June of 1910. And absent at the dedication ceremonies was her comrade Stephen Pettus Reed. Reed would die the very day and hour the Virginia Memorial was being dedicated. However, newspapers from across the country would write about the dedication. The Richmond Dispatch would note, "And as the banners dropped, showing General Lee mounted on his old war horse Traveler, a mighty shout rose from the throats of the multitude and echoed across the valleys once red with the blood of brave American men." The Alabama Montgomery Advisor noted to their subscribers, "Virginia knows how to honor those she loved and who fought and died for their ideals." Virginia did indeed honor her sons at Gettysburg. Today we have proof in granite and bronze. Over the years, the Virginia State Memorial had thousands of visitors. On April 24, 1960, President Dwight Eisenhower would tour the battlefield with French President Charles de Gaulle. With a stop at the Virginia Memorial and an open view of Cemetery Ridge, the pair would discuss Lee's plan for the July 3rd attack on the Northern Line. The sculptor of the Virginia Memorial, F. William Sievers, will again visit Gettysburg during a rededication ceremony of the memorial on July 2nd, 1963, during the centennial of the Civil War. Sievers would comment, "Those Confederate soldiers who fought the battle are just as deserving of praise as Lee." I wanted to show what type of men those soldiers were. And for me, the honor and privilege to provide a tour with Marcia and John Fitzgerald, as Marcia is the great-great-granddaughter of General George Gordon Meade. Over the years, many Gettysburg monuments have been damaged or vandalized. Unfortunately, this includes the Virginia Memorial. From a red cloth being hung from travelers' reins to actual damage to the bronze group, these works of arts have been defaced, and for what reason? A bayonet and sword broken, and the missing portion of a ramrod, and again for what reason? It's the responsibility of each of us to do our part in protecting these works of art and history. In bronze and stone, the veterans wanted us to remember. As one drives along West Confederate Avenue, the Virginia Memorial is masked by a large woodlot. Upon reaching a clearing, the monument, in a sense, is unveiled. Standing majestically, as it has for decades, it was Virginia's way of honoring her sons. Today, the Virginia Memorial is one of the most photographed memorials on the Gettysburg battlefield. Visitors, impressed with its large size, study its intricate forms and admire the bronze statues. However, we historians, as much as we admire the monument, look beyond to the open fields to the east. In our minds, we see the heroic but ferocious fighting of July 3rd, the futile attack on the northern battle line, Pickett's charge. We know the results and the carnage that resulted. And today we can discuss the reasons for the Civil War, and we should. However, we cannot question the courage, resolve, and hardships these Confederate soldiers exhibited.